Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored, presented to you by Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance. I'm your host, Piers Austin. I'm here back again, and I've got a very special guest coming up. Before we get into it, I just want to take a quick second to give a special shout out to our sponsors who make this show possible every single week. First up is Signal Studios. They are a recording studio based here in Sydney, Australia. If you're a wrestler, you need some entrance music, you can hit up my boy Rafi Tomasian. He can hook you up, send it out digitally. Or if you're in Sydney, you're in a band, you want a place to jam out, you want a place to record, or just a place to come in and practice your shit, he can hook you up as well. So he's got a mad space there. Look up Signal Studios on Facebook. Next is Mayan. Whoa, Jesus, bit of technical difficulty. Is Mayan Belts. So Mayan Belts are the best replica custom championship belt maker in the world. If you want a custom championship belt, hit up my boy Eddie Williams from Mayan Belts, and he will give you a deal you will not believe, and a belt that is going to be looking spectacular. Last but not least is A-Rock Designs. A-Rock Designs is a company run by my good friend Ashley Rodriguez. She makes custom wrestling cups, hoodies, t-shirts, tumblers, keychains, you name it, she makes it, and they are phenomenal. Look her up. She's also doing stuff that isn't quite wrestling related as well with those cups, so make sure you hook her up. They are absolutely amazing. But now I want to bring in my guest. He's a member of the Anoa'i family. If you're a wrestling fan, you definitely know who that family is. He is the grandson of Afa. He is the son of Samu. He has cousins currently wrestling in WWE. He has made an appearance in WWE where he wrestled Shane McMahon. I'm going to bring him out here because he's the man that you all came here to see. Lance, welcome to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Great to see you, my friend.
Man, thanks for having me on here, man. And man, I enjoy all those sponsors. I might actually have to hit all of them up.
Yeah, man. You let us know, man. We'll definitely put you in contact with them, man. They're great sponsors. They make this show possible every single week, as well as bringing on wonderful guests like yourself. But Lance, look, how's things going, man? We're in your neck of the woods, bro, with all the COVID stuff going on, the riots happening over in America, man. You know, how are you and your family doing?
Man, actually, me and my family, we're doing pretty good. My fiance and 2 kids, we pretty much stay at home most of the time, just to make sure, you gotta look out for the young ones. But man, everything's just finally starting to open up since March. So now restaurants are starting to open up, and you can't eat inside yet, but they do outdoor dining. The whole riots and the protests. Look, we don't have really no riots here where I live. I'm out in Pennsylvania. It's down more by Philadelphia. I'm about an hour and a half north of Philly. So I'm pretty much, everything's peaceful up here. And, like I just said, I'm trying to stay safe for my family and make sure the kids their head is right.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got a couple of young kids myself, and for a couple of months they were locked inside the house and not going anywhere. So me and my wife were all going a little bit stir crazy with that. So I feel your pain, man.
Yeah. Man, we just finished up school, all this online school. I said, I need to write these teachers, and I need some kind of salary or something for me doing all of it.
Oh man, I definitely feel you. But look, I'm just going to say this to all our viewers: we are going to take live questions. So if you do have a question you want to ask Lance, throw it up in the comments, and we definitely will bring it up. But Lance, look, getting into it, man. Tell me what it was like growing up, in the Anoa'i family. As I said to you before, you're part of your family's wrestling royalty. Every wrestling fan knows your family, knows the history. What was it like for you growing up? Was it an expectation for you to go into the wrestling business, or was it something that they just let you sort of, figure out on your own?
Actually, growing up in the wrestling business, I never wanted to wrestle. It was the last thing on my mind. I enjoyed traveling with my dad, like watching him perform and entertain all the fans out there just around the world. Like when I was young, about 2 years old, that's when my dad was like with WWF at the time and carrying the tag team championship with my uncle Rikishi. But then as he went on the independent scene, I traveled. I met all these wonderful guys, even a bunch of old timers, but just wrestling wasn't there. I just enjoyed watching him and my family perform. But I was a baseball player growing up, and that was my main focus was school, baseball, and man, just trying to make a living.
Yeah. Look, it's funny you said baseball. I just interviewed Epico Orlando Colon the other day, and he has a very similar background to you. You know, coming from a wrestling family. But I digress. But how old were you when you decided that I want to pursue pro wrestling as a living?
So like I said, growing up, like I traveled with my dad. I would do like the people's elbow at like 7 years old, like do a running with my dad. So that was always cool. And then
Yeah.
just baseball. And then my senior year in high school, I ended up having knee surgery on a torn meniscus. So once I did that, I knew kind of my baseball colleges weren't there, and I didn't let it stop me. But then I went to my backup plan, which was wrestling. And then I wasn't sure exactly how much I would love it, but after doing it for almost 10, 11 years right now, man, I think it's the best decision I have made, just to follow in my family's footsteps.
Yeah, and once you got into wrestling, how did you find that there was a lot of expectation on you, like from other areas, from promoters, having that obviously that famous surname and going into wrestling, was there a certain level of expectation that was put upon you when you broke in?
Not really, because to me, I just treated like I'm brand new. I was a greenhorn, man. I paid my dues. I set up the ring. I did all that. And even though I come from a family, man, we're very humble. We know where we come from. And I just go out there and I represent and show the respect that my family has taught me, and just to carry on our legacy.
Mm. And obviously, getting into the ring and training for the first time, when did the training start for you? Was it something that you were always doing on and off at a young age, or was it a certain point where you really sort of started training, to start learning how to bump and learning how to work in the ring? When did that all start for you?
So when I was, like I said, when I was like 7, 8 years old, I would do run-ins. I used to always do flips off ropes, 450 splash, but I never took a back bump. So finally, like all through high school, I would go to training and I would just take a bump here and there, not too serious, just to see what it feels like. And then finally, when I start my senior year at 18 years old, or actually I was 17 at the time, because in the state of Pennsylvania, you can't wrestle until you're 18. So 17, I started training. So then on my 18th birthday, I would have my first match.
Do you remember who the match was against?
Yeah, my first match was against the Dynamic Sensation, TDS. It's one of my grandfather's students we had up here. Uh, Real good kid. He was in the business for about 7 years before me, so he helped
Yeah.
me out a lot. And man, like I was nervous because it was in my hometown. I had all my friends from school there because I was still in high school, and they all came out to support. Man, I was nervous, so we went over the match probably like 30 times before, and I was just like, man, I cannot mess this up.
Oh, mate, I can definitely understand that. But you know, with getting in, what was was your father supportive of you wanting to be in wrestling, or was he like, I don't know, like obviously he's been around the world and he's a legend in himself, but what was it? Was he supportive in that fact, or was he sort of like a bit reserved in wanting you to get involved in it?
Actually, my father was 100% supportive. He's the one that trained me, so he knew I had shoes to fill, and he wanted me to be the best I can be. But the one person who did not want me to wrestle at all was my grandfather. Uh, I think till this day he still don't want me to wrestle because he knew how great of a baseball player I was, and he wanted me to finish getting my education in college and focus on that. And then wrestling, he always said, will always be there.
Mm.
It's not going anywhere. It's there, so you can always fall back. But man, I was 18. I didn't really listen. I did, but I didn't. But
Yeah.
man, I felt like I could always go back to school also if I ever wanted to at whatever age. So I want to do this while I'm young, while my body can. And after 40, 45, 50 years old, man, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
Probably
man. It takes
your
it takes
body. They say one bump is like getting hit by a car when you take
yeah.
a bump in the ring. So all those cars I'm getting hit by is it's pretty rough.
Yeah, you know what? It's just it's exactly right, and it makes you wonder, like all the guys that are doing this day in and day out, on the road, and it definitely takes its toll on the body. But have you had any serious injuries from wrestling over your time thus far? Like you started in what 2010.
Yeah.
How's your body feeling 10 years in?
My body actually feels good. I would say I was a lot dumber when I was younger and just starting, because that's when I would do like all crazy stuff. And now, like learning and watching, I work I work smarter, not harder. So just to protect myself, because if I do make it, I want my body to be ready to go for the 300 days a year. So after time, I started treating my body. But one of the serious injuries I did have, and which kind of woke me up, was I broke my fibula in the ring. I broke it in New Jersey, uh, 2 minutes into the match. I'm against dives. In the opening match, the company had me do the opening match because I had a long drive to Florida after, which is 17 hours, and I
Oof.
did a flip to the outside, and I was against it, but they wanted it, so I did it, and the opponent wasn't there to catch me, and I broke my leg. I thought it was a bad cramp. Drove all the way to Florida. I finished the match. Well, yeah, I finished the match. So I broke about 2 minutes in, and I did 11 minutes. So I did another 9 minutes with a broken leg, and
Oh,
then drove to Florida, 17 hours, and then went to the hospital and found out it was really broken. And the doctor just said, he says, "I don't know how you did it. You're just a warrior. You should have been walking, driving. That leg should have been up, casted, everything." So, and at the time, it was pretty cool. Like the name of my song is "I'm a Warrior" at the time when I was coming out. So, man, that song explained it all right there. And man, I just pour my heart into this business. So no matter what, I just keep it going.
yeah, dude, to actually have a broken leg and then drive 17 hours and wrestle again, it just shows that that Samoan toughness that's inside of you, man. And we've heard stories about your family doing similar things with your grandfather's eye coming out of his head
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff like that. And as I said, I've been a big fan of the Anoa'i family since I was a kid and growing up. I'm a little bit older than you. I'm not going to say my age because I don't want to date myself. I remember being a kid and seeing the Wild Samoans and your dad coming in as part of that as well, in the 90s in the WWF. But what was it like as a kid backstage? Obviously in the big arenas in the WWF and being around your family and being around that. Were you very starstruck at a young age, or to you was that just normal to you?
So for me, like I said, when my dad was there, I was young. I was 2, 3 years old, so I don't have much memory. Usually, like a lot of people I meet are constantly reminding me of like when my dad will bring me backstage. Like X Pac, he's like he was a big fan of my dad's, and we were just real close. And every single time he sees me, he goes, "Hey, I remember when your dad used to wheel you on his suitcase into the locker room," and just everybody would be watching me. And like my grandfather was always there with my dad, my mom, my uncles, just whoever was there. Like, so take care of me while my dad was in the ring. So my dad was very loved back then, and
Yeah.
man, I think he still is to this day, because a lot of people respect him, who he is. Like I hear stories all the time about my father, like don't piss him off, or he's the kindest guy. Like
Yeah.
it's I enjoy being from such a great family, and I love it, man.
Yeah, man, I can only imagine. But your father had some health issues last year, man. How's he doing?
Yeah, so my dad, he had stage 4 liver cancer, and then luckily we ran a big benefit show to help raise money uh, for the surgery. Uh, he ended up having a surgery in September of 2019, and he's actually doing well, man. He's bored, so he's constantly trying to do things because, when you have that big surgery, you can't be out in the sun. You can't do a lot of things that you're used to. Like
Yeah.
we're planning a trip to Florida. He got his shades to cover up his skin, his mask, everything. He can't touch fish. Like it's kind of hard for him. But man, we just try to keep it going and make him feel as normal as possible. But right now, he's doing real good. His rejection pills are down, and his liver is taking it. And God bless that man, and God bless everyone that helped out and donating and made it all possible for my father to still be here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, man, when I heard that news about your dad, I was, man, it hit me, man, especially, when, being a fan and being a fan for a long time, it's like when you hear that, it's devastating. And man, I can only imagine what that would have felt, obviously being his son and being a family member to sort of go through that. But I'm really glad, and I genuinely mean that, to hear that he's doing better. I'm going to
Thank you.
go to some of our interactive questions here. So, Rocky Nelson, one of the viewers of our show, he wants to know, what is your ultimate dream match of someone past or present that you wish you could get in there and work?
Oh, one of my dream matches. Um, Honestly, one of my dream matches is wrestling Adam Cole. Um, he when he was young, he used to wrestle for my grandfather. Because he's not much older than I am. But he was started a little before me, and I just loved just watching his charisma and how he carried himself, and that was always my one goal. Like even watching him in Ring of Honor, I enjoyed watching him, and to this day, in NXT, man, I think he's one of the top guys there, and that's why he is the NXT champion. Because
I
man, that
agree.
man can work.
I agree. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's probably one of the best wrestlers, in any major promotion at the moment today. And one of our Facebook users just says that you and Cole would absolutely steal the show, and I must agree. Another Facebook user says, I have the future on right now, and absolutely, yes, I do. But moving on into that, you've had some opportunities to go and wrestle, one of which was wrestling on WWE against Shane McMahon, and you're one of the few people that has been able to get in the ring with Shane. And so, how did that all come about, man? Was it just they were in town and you sort of got the lucky one to get a call up, or was it specifically you they were after to go in there and have a look at?
I so we did it Memorial Day of last year. Uh, at the time, I just got back from my WWE tryout at the middle of April. I was down at the Performance Center for a week for a tryout, and I got an email back because after you do it, you get an email saying whether or not they want to sign you or not. I got we don't have nothing for you right now, but keep going, and we're always here if you need anything. And so basically, at the time, after that, I was setting up for my dad's benefit show because WWE was helping. They sent Samoa Joe, Cassius Ohno, Epico, Primo. They were all there. Bennett, just Michael Hayes. Everybody was there. And at the time, like that's a big event. I was helping my dad set up because I didn't want him to really do much. I wanted to do it all.
Yeah.
And my grandfather. And so we were planning it. And literally, Raw runs on Monday. And that Saturday night, I got a phone call from John Cone, and he says, "Hey, are you free Monday night?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything. Like I can't turn that down. It's John Cone. I don't care if I had plans or not. I'm gonna go." So he says, "Hey, I'm gonna send you over your itinerary, your hotel, car, everything." So they flew me out to Kansas City, Missouri. So I went out to Kansas City, and I still had no idea what I was doing. My blood work, everything was good. And I didn't find out until that Monday morning what I was doing. They said, "Hey, man, you got a big spot." And then Shane came up to me. It was like, "Hey, yep, it's me and you today." And I was like, "Oh, man, really?" And then, man, but Shane is probably one of the coolest dudes. Uh, we were just chatting. We were going over, just rolling around in the ring. We were just, man, he's a third generation almost, and
Yeah.
so am I. And man, just for the two of us, just to be in the ring with him and just basically bullshit. And man, it was cool, man. Like I didn't really know him, but man, I got a lot of respect for him and just the way how he was raised, also, man. Because just how he was raised, and I think we're kind of similar. So we kind of just kicked it and ate, talked, and chilled.
Yeah, man. I mean, the McMahons and the Anoa'is have been obviously in business together for a long time. Dating back to your grandfather, and the Wild Samoans, and then obviously your father, and obviously everyone knows the history that's involved in there. But You know, do you, like obviously your cousins, you know, Roman Reigns, Joe, and the Usos, and
Yep.
obviously the most famous from the family, you know, Rocky Maivia or The Rock. You know,
Yeah.
what advice do they give you? Obviously, you know, being where anyone would want to be who gets into the professional wrestling business. You know, do they give you much advice? Do they watch your matches and sort of give you that feedback that you're after, or is it more coming from, you know, the senior members of the family like your father and grandfather?
I don't really get much advice from him. Like I'll send like the Usos and Roman. I'll send the footage just to get their like opinion on what should I do. Like they love everything I do. They love everything, all my moves. They love everything. They just tell me how to put them in the right place in a match, and like I'm still working on it because I feel something different than they feel something. But I have to listen to them because they're where I want to be. So I take their advice and I try to mix it all in because I feel like my dad kind of babies me, not babies me, but he's more of the old school type. And yeah, I like wrestling old school type, but also it is in, but it's not in. I don't know if that makes sense for WWE. Like old school wrestling is almost dead in WWE, but it's still kind of there with
Yeah.
NXT, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think NXT is, you know, probably one of the best. I think it's probably the premium brand on WWE right now, and I'm sure many other people believe that as well. But you know, obviously wrestling for 10 years. You know, what are some of the promotions that you really want to try and work for moving forward? You know, I think wrestling has been very healthy pre the pandemic, but where would you like to sort of move into, and where are the promotions that you'd really like to try and work for before obviously going into WWE?
Um, I'm not honestly one promotion I've been trying to get into. Actually, I was supposed to make my debut right before it was in April. I was supposed to go to Raw, which is Booker T's promotion. I was supposed to make my debut there, but with the whole pandemic, that got pushed back, and hopefully I'll be back there soon. But yeah, that was one of my goals to definitely be there. I wrestled for MLW. I wrestled for House of Hardcore. Another one I would like is Evolve, even though they're really WWE affiliated.
Mhm.
Um, I would love New Japan, uh, Defy out in Seattle, Washington. I would love to even come out there to Australia. Like, I'll really go anywhere, honestly. I love the wrestle. I love meeting new people. And it's just awesome. Like, I would love to go to Europe, wherever.
Mate, if I know any wrestling promoters, I'll definitely shoot him your contact
I
info,
was
brother.
supposed to come out there and wrestle for Mana down there.
Oh, okay.
Where is he? Is he in Perth?
Yeah, Western
I think,
Australia.
yeah. I think that he's down in Perth. And then something got mixed up, and then we're working actually on a new date right now. Me coming out there, possibly me and my cousin Jacob Fatu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, mate, definitely. If you come to Sydney, mate, look me up. I'll put on a good Aussie barbecue for you, mate. Don't worry about
Oh
it.
yeah, I gotta get there when it's warm though.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the
I
later months of the year.
I don't like cold weather.
Neither do I, man. It's winter now, man, and it's dude, it's effing freezing, bro. Like,
Oh
I'm
really?
struggling, but yeah, no, definitely the end of the year, beginning of the year. That's the time you want to hit up Australia, man, where it's nice and hot and sunny, and the beaches are going and everything like that. But you know, you mentioned MLW. And one of the things you got a chance to wrestle with, you know, a couple of really good guys there, which you know, MJF and Rich Swann. What was that
Yeah.
experience like working with, you know, two of probably the top up and comers? You know, obviously Rich Swann's been in WWE, but you know, MJF and Rich are pretty much two very strong competitors out there on the indie scene, or now sort of in AEW for MJF. But what was those experiences like for you working with those guys?
Man, working at MJF, man, I thought like I knew where he came from, what school he was trained at. I knew he was well, but just his character, man, I always thought he was the biggest prick ever. So I was like, man, I'm gonna go meet this guy. Even though I met him before, but it's like, okay, now I'm actually gonna work him. We talked, and I just thought he was the biggest prick. But then, man, once we we started talking, man, he had tons of respect for me and my entire family. And like I knew he wanted to go out there and talk shit on my family. And he asked me for permission. Everything was good, man, because I know that's his character and he's so well at it. And I think, man, AEW, he's gonna be a big star there one day. And um, Rich Swann, man, that's also one of my favorite people to ever work. I wrestled him probably in like 2012 in it was a six way. Yeah, it was a six way. It was me, Rich Swann, Christian York, Jerry Lynn, um, I forget who else, the Big O out in New York. There was just a bunch of top guys in that match. And from there I knew, man, he could just do so much. And he complements like everything I do. Like if I hit him a move, he just makes it look so well. And I told him, I said, man, we did this one move back then. And he goes, yep, I already know which one. So I go for the rock bottom, and he backflips out of the rock bottom and hits me with what is the Trouble in Paradise almost. But his version, man, he makes it look so well. And just everything he does is smooth. And for him being such a little guy, man, he can fly.
Yeah, man, he's amazing, and he's probably one of the most underrated guys in my opinion at the moment. You know, he's just the whole package, man. He what he does makes sense, and it's so entertaining. One of our Facebook users, hey, Facebook user, if you click the link above, it'll actually allow StreamYard to grant access for you to show your name. But he wants to know, hey Lance, is the WXWC4 coming back?
So yeah, WXWC4 is the company my father runs. I help him book it, especially now after he has to be in buildings a lot less that has dust or any kind of. But yeah, we are planning on coming back. Right now, it's kind of hard because you can only put maybe 25 people into a building or 50, and it's worth it for those people, but we think we could do better. And just by the time we pay a doctor, everything, we got to take care of it all. But yes, we will be back. We're hoping very soon, and just keep a lookout, and we will be posting something real shortly.
That's amazing. And look, let us know, and I'll definitely share that in all of our social media to let our audience know. But our Facebook user mentioned WXW. That's been a promotion that's been around since '96, I believe. Your grandfather is the founder of that promotion. Have you had any interesting stories that you would have seen? Like, obviously, your grandfather being the booker and having so much respect. How is he behind the scenes as far as booking and dealing with the other guys? I can imagine he's one guy you wouldn't really want to get on the wrong side of.
Yeah, my grandfather is one person. Like him booking his shows, like he actually has his first show after this whole pandemic, on the 13th of this month. Yeah, the 13th of this month, and man, like I said, if I tell him I'm coming down, he goes, no, I don't want you in the ring because, like I told you, he still don't want me in the ring, even though I'm there. He won't even use me, so we have to all constantly convince. But man, if you're not trained properly and you want to get into his ring, man, he'll eat you up, and not like he'll tell you. If you want to go somewhere and make it, man, come to a right school. Like I know there's tons of schools out there, but you have to Google, like just talk and just hear where the best schools are because you're gonna get trained by the best, man. My grandfather produced so many WWE superstars and top stars, man. It's just, man, you just want to learn from him and just listen to every advice he just gives and take that to the heart, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, he's trained some of the top WWE superstars, former WWE champions. Batista, for one, has spent time, with your grandfather. But as far as like, obviously, your grandfather not giving you or not booking you on the show, is that something that, is like, you've got to constantly, you and your dad have got to go, come on, let him just get in there. Come on, give him give him a run, give him a shot.
He'll get me sometimes. Like I was thinking about flying down there this weekend actually to go surprise him. Even though I'm just gonna surprise him, he probably won't put me on the show. But if I did that to my dad would make room for me right away. But man, yeah, we constantly do. Like he has a committee, a booking committee, and there's like I think 6 of them. All 6 of them had to convince him to put me on to the one show because he didn't want me on it. He goes, "No, I don't need you. I don't need you." And I was the opening match, man. We stole it, and he was all happy. He goes, "Thank you, son. Thank you."
Like obviously, I can understand like when you were young and getting into the wrestling business, he may have had reservations about you getting in. But what was it? Obviously, 10 years in, like you're now a vet. You know what I mean? Like, what is it that he doesn't want to do? Is it that he doesn't want to show the favoritism towards family? Is it like a saving of the facing with the boys? He doesn't want you to be perceived as someone who's getting an opportunity just because of the name, or is it more like for your safety?
I honestly don't know. I think he knows when I come down, I kind of down there with my family, and I'm there for a vacation. And I think deep down, he don't want me to rest. Like he just wants me to enjoy myself, watch his product that he's been building, and all his workers. He just wants me to watch it and learn, instead of me being in the back worrying about calling a match, doing all that. And I think that's what he wants. But also, I do think it's favorites. He don't want to be favoritism. Like I know the last time I was down there, I was facing one of his champions, Chico Adams, and I was supposed to job to him. I was supposed to lose to him, but the finish got messed up, and I ended up winning the title. And then everybody was like, "Oh, all right, here goes the favoritism." I just went down there for my first time in years, and I worked, and I just won a title. And it had nothing to do with me. Like, it's just something he called right there on the spot because he didn't want the same finish back-to-back matches.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning the title, and I ended up dropping it anyways. The next couple shows, I had to fly down there for 3 months straight and defend the title. But there is, like, he don't want to play the favoritism. I'm one of the boys to him also, but he does want me to enjoy myself.
And I think that's probably like a lot more beneficial, for your career as well, and how you're perceived by your peers backstage, and in the business as well. It's you see a lot of that. People say, oh, just because he's got this famous last name, he's going to have these opportunities just given to him and fed to him and fed to him and fed to him. And like for what I would say as an outsider looking in, it's I think if you have a famous or you're part of a famous family, it'll open doors for you. But if you're not delivering and you're not living up to that name, those opportunities will go just like that.
Yeah, the door's open, but it's my job just to kick that thing and keep that open. Basically.
100%. And what's been one of your favorite matches this far in your career?
Oh man. One of my favorite matches probably was when I first started. We did a benefit show with for Yokozuna, my uncle. We did a memorial show too, and I opened the show with a guy, and then I didn't know at the time. I thought that was it, and then my dad goes, "Nope, you're in the main event too," and I was like, "Okay, favoritism again," but I hate it. But he goes, "No, this time you're tagging with me and Junior, which is my uncle Rikishi." So it was like, man, I'm about to tag with the head shrinkers. Like, even though they're family, I'm being a mark, and I love it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that was definitely one. It was against the New Jersey Clique out here, and we did it in Philadelphia, but they're from the Wildwood, New Jersey area, and just a big feud that we had down history, and we brought it back for that one show. And man, that was definitely one of the biggest moments. Is just being a fan and being in there with my dad and my uncle. It was pretty great. And then my other one, which is my all-time favorite though, was I set it up. I ran a show for my dad, and I wanted to book it all, and I flew my grandfather in for his last and final match. And first I had it set up. It was me, my dad, and my grandfather. And I said, 3 generations in one ring. I don't think it's ever been done before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to run with it. 3 generations, one ring. And then my grandfather goes, no, we got to add everybody. So I ended up adding my uncle Alpha Jr., my uncle L.A. Smooth. So it ended up being a 10-man tag. And man, just being in the ring with all of them, the ring had a lot of pressure on it. So
Yeah,
But
they don't make the Samoans small, man. I'll tell you that much.
but man, that was my favorite, just to be in there and be able to wrestle with my grandfather.
Yeah, and and that's the thing, man. Like, you say being a mark and being a fan, it's really good to see because we're all fans, we're all marks, we all love pro wrestling, and people use that word mark like it's a derogatory term. Like, I'll admit it,
Yeah.
I'm a mark. Like, I love wrestling. I can sit here
Oh,
and
me
tell you
too.
everything there is that's happened in the last 20 years in pro wrestling. But it's good to hear that even someone who's been in the business for 10 years still has that love and passion for it, and can be in that opportunity with being with your family members, and even though like they're your uncles, your father and grandfather, to still have that moment where you can say, holy shit, I'm in here with Arthur, the head shrinkers, LA
Yeah.
Smooth and, Rikishi and stuff like that, and still have that moment. I know that all wrestling fans would be absolutely feeling you on that one, man. So,
Yeah.
but as far as like, when you got into the business, did you ever have like any goals set out that you wanted to achieve? Like, did you ever sit down and write, okay, here's a list of, 5 or 10 things I want to achieve this in 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. And how are you at with those, reaching those goals?
Man, I never heard that question or anything. Like, I wish I would have when I first started, because I would have definitely made like a list. When I first started, man, my goal was to make it to the top, make it to WWE, make it possible, make the biggest name for myself. Just because my last name is Anoa'i, don't, like you said, I don't get handed everything. The door is open, but I have to push through it, and I just want to be the biggest I can make, like the biggest name I can make for myself. And that was really my goal. And I'm thinking I'm still going. I think I could do better. And hopefully one day, man, even though 10 years in, man, I'm not slowing down. I'm going. I'm still hitting. I'm 230 pounds hitting a 450 splash off the top rope. So
Wow, man. You definitely, you hold it well, bro. Jeez. How tall are you, man? Like 6'1"?
6'1", yeah.
Geez, 6'1", 230 pounds, man. I wouldn't want to cross you in a dark alley, bro. Jesus, I'm only a little. But looking at now the future and moving forward, where you're at in your career now, what would be your top 3 goals that you really want to achieve in the next, say, 5 years?
5 years. Um, honestly, I said before I probably wouldn't want to work for AEW. But after watching everything that you do and who it's ran by, man, like my goal was always WWE, but I would give them a shot if the opportunity came. I would give Ring of Honor, um, and definitely New Japan. So within the next 5, I would just love to wrestle for one of those companies, and then hopefully the 5th year, even if it's before then, I would love to sign a WWE contract.
Oh, absolutely. And as you said, WWE is the pinnacle, and that's where every wrestler who's getting into the business would want to be. But as far as you mentioned, you booked your own show, and how do you find working in a backstage environment as opposed to being obviously in the ring and actually booking the show and putting the matches together and really doing that behind the scenes role? Is that something that you enjoy more than being in the ring, or do you find it a bit too stressful, and being in the ring is a bit more less mental stress, I suppose?
I actually love booking shows. I love running over the whole show with everybody and just going over everything. I wouldn't say I love it more than being in the ring. I do see I could do it in the future, like if it ever came down to like producing or being an agent or whatever. I definitely see that I could do it if I put my mind to it. One thing I do not like is booking a show and I book myself on it, because that just causes way too much stress. Um, I just like to sit back, make sure it's all ran, look at my watch, make sure the matches are going the right time. And if I'm working the show, it's just I'm too worried about my match over than the show. I don't get to enjoy what I just built.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's the only upside I don't like. I don't like about it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you were saying. But as far as like booking a show, I can see it being like one of those things being stressful. Then adding the fact that you got to go and work that same show, I can imagine it'd be like a million miles a minute. But What's been obviously some of the key lessons that you've like walked away with thus far in your career? Like, what are some of the key learnings that you've taken from being in the ring and going and having these opportunities, working MLW, WWE? Yeah, what are some of the things that that you've really learnt over the last few years about the business that you may not the average fan or average wrestler may not know?
Like I said before, the one thing I learned over the years is less is more. My grandfather always told me, my dad always told me, and especially my uncle, Rikishi, less is more. Like, you don't have to take 15 bumps in one match, or you don't have to give 15. Man, just interact with the crowd. And that's something I didn't do when I was younger. I just went out there, spot, 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 spot. And it was just too much on me. And yeah, like now, if I'm a heel, like they say, oh, the babyface was like, oh, you can hit me with anything. I was like, man, you're probably gonna take 1 or 2 bumps this entire match. It could be a 10, 12-minute match, and you're gonna take 1 or 2 bumps. Like, it's not. If I'm there just with the crowd and I get their attention, then bam, right there, we got them hooked. We're ready to go. We could do anything, and we could take it right home early if we had to. But that was definitely one. And then my family always taught me to be humble, like I said, and know where I come from. And that's one thing I hear a lot in the locker rooms. Every locker room I go to, I hear that I'm so humble, even though I come from such a royalty family, that I'm one of the most humblest guys they ever met. And that's something that I'm proud of. And I hope I made my family proud by just carrying that on, and just it gets back to them saying what a humble person I am. Trying to think what else.
No, I can understand that, but and have you ever? And I'm not going to ask you to name any names, but have you seen like a few second or third generation wrestlers who come in that don't have that humble mentality, and how does that sort of impact the others around it?
Actually, I have seen a few, but not many at all. I done. It wasn't even at the show, but just being in the ring, I did the Super 8 tournament. It was all second and third generation wrestlers. In a, I want to say, what was it? An 8-man tournament, and it was all second and third generation. And none of them. They were all great because I never met them before. It was like Zabisco's, Devon Eric's, man, they were all great. Pillman, one person I never got in the ring with till that day, and he was awesome. Just I wrestled Harry Smith Jr. Recently, man. It's just like I seen not humble people, especially generation, which I was a little upset after seeing it, but man, like I said, I don't know if it was how they were raised or how they were brought up, but I'm just proud of the way I was brought up, and I carry it along.
Yeah, and that's the thing, when you're humble, and it's not just in wrestling, but in life, if you're humble and you're polite and you show that, people want to have you around, and it's going to give you more opportunities than just rocking up and being like, hey, here I am, pay me, book me, I'm
Pay
going
me,
over.
book me, I wrestle, I'm done. Okay, I'm out the door.
Yeah.
I seen it happen a million times, and it's not the way it should be. But like I said, we're all taught different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And following your tryout in WWE and the match, when they said there's nothing for you, did they say to you, hey, look, this is what we think we need you to work on, this is what we think that you need to sort of do to sort of take your your career to the next level? Was there any sort of feedback they were able to give you at that time?
No, not really. They don't go too much into detail. I wish they really did. To me, I always think, hey, maybe there's too many Samoans in there right now because I got all my family in there. Like I don't know. Like, a million things run through my mind of what can it be? Could it be my body? Could it be what I wear? Like, I don't know. Like, I had my very first tryout at Performance Center was in 2015. Then I did 2017, and then again in 2019. So I was like, okay, they keep bringing me back, so it's something there, but they just, I don't know what it is that they just. I wish honestly they'll just give me a contract. I'll take a year contract and I'll tear it up in that year if they don't like what they see, and then y'all can kick me, but I promise you in that year you're gonna want me around.
Yeah, man. Look, I've seen in quite a few of your matches, and to see how you are in the ring, I definitely think, in my mind, I'm sitting there seeing what the NXT roster's like. I definitely see a lot of great matches of the year that you could have, and as you said, you and Adam Cole would be like a show stealer, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. That's one day it's gonna happen.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I'm going to be sitting there watching and going to go, I remember sitting here and having a conversation with Lance, and he told me it was going to happen. And there it is.
Yep.
But, look, we're getting to near the end of the interview. We're just getting to that 46-minute mark. And now everyone sort of knows what we do around this time. It's playing the Aussie slang game. I told you about this. Lance, you were supposed to come to Australia a couple of months back. Have you ever been to Australia at all, or this would have been the first time for you?
It would have been my first time, but
Right,
I dealt with Aussie people before, so I don't know if I do good at this or not.
Well, look, you know what? We're going to set you up for success, because in Australia we use a lot of slang terminology. So we're going to play a little game called Guess the Aussie Slang. So I'll say a word, and I'll put it in a sentence for you as well. Okay, so we'll start off with the first one. Banana bender. Hey, see that bloke over there? He's a bloody banana bender, mate. What's a banana bender?
Is it multiple choice?
It's not a multiple choice, no.
Okay. Man, I would have. You see, I'm gonna need you on my side, right on my hip when I come out there.
Okay, so a banana bender is what we call someone from Queensland. So Queensland is a place where like Brisbane, Gold Coast, stuff like that, because banana benders, like all the good bananas come from Queensland. So that's why we say the bloody banana benders.
Oh, okay.
All right. Here's another one. Hey, Lance.
I'm gonna be terrible at this.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Like I said, it's a learning experience. Okay, so it's all good.
It is.
All right. So next one is Bicky. Would you like a Bicky with your coffee? Bicky.
Bicky. A cookie.
You got that right. A biscuit. It's Bicky short for biscuit. All right. See that mongrel dog over there? It's a bitzer. Bitzer.
That one.
So a bitzer is basically a dog that has multiple different breeds in it. So that's why we call it a bitzer, because it's bits of this and it's bits of that. So, all right.
Cool.
Here's another one. Bloody oath. Bloody oath. That was a good match. Bloody oath.
Bloody oath was. I want to say like that was bloody oath. That was a good match. That was almost like a damn good match, or I don't.
Yeah. No, 100% right. It's like hell yeah, like bloody oath for sure, man. All right, so we got another one here. Booze bus. Watch out when you're driving home. The booze bus will be up the road. Booze bus.
Is that when you're like, booze bus up the road? I'm trying. Your sentences are working a little bit.
They're working. All right, cool.
That's not like the police, is it?
It is, man. It's usually when the police have set up like a random breath testing
DUI check.
Yeah. They call it a booze bus. All right, so we'll go another one. Oh, mate. I didn't. Hang on. I'm going to word it because that'll be too easy. Brekkie. What'd you have for brekkie?
Oh, is that like breakfast?
Again, man. See, you're good at this. Obviously, hanging around with some of those doggies is stuck. All right, here's another one. Cobber. G'day, Cobber. How's it going?
Dang, that one. Dang.
Cobber.
See, but don't y'all say like "good day, mate"?
We do. We say g'day, mate, but also we'd say hello, Cobber. How you going?
Now you got me on that one.
So a cobber is someone you'd call a friend or a mate, like, hey, cobber, how's it going, mate? You all right? So more of the older generations of Aussies would just say, what's going on, mate? But mind you, in Australia, we're a little bit backwards, where we're the only people in the world that will call your enemies mate and our friends the C word. So
Yeah.
I'll explain that to
you. I heard that one before.
Yeah, like I've got a friend of mine from the States, and I say, oh, man, you're a bloody great, you're a 6C.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, what'd you call me? You can't say that. All right, so we've got another one. Cracker fat. Oh my God, did you see that chick? I dead set cracked a fat.
Did you see that chick?
That chick made me crack a fat.
Yeah. I feel like I know it, but I don't. And I can't think of.
Well, it's basically when things start to rise, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hey, Lance, check out this Sheila. Sheila.
So is that basically a female?
It is, yeah.
Oh.
Just don't let a woman hear you call her a Sheila. They get a bit offended by that these days. But
Sheila.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to learn that.
Oh, mate, my wife woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. She's cutting sick.
Okay.
Cutting sick.
See, to me, that would be like, I don't know. To me, it should be like lazy, I guess, almost. But
no, cutting
is it?
Cutting sick means to be like she's just angry, going off a doll. Like just going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So we got a couple more. Okay.
Oh man,
mate.
killing me.
No, this is the last two. I promise you, it's the last two. All right. Dead set. That bloke is a drongo. Drongo.
Wait, what was the sentence again?
Dead set. That bloke over there is a drongo.
It's like crazy.
More like just dopey, silly, just
dopey. Okay.
Yeah, just an idiot. All right. So this is the last one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go one more after this one, all right? And I promise that'll be. All right. I'm having fun. You're having fun. So why not? We'll do a couple more. Oh man, I'm stinging for a durry. Durry.
Durry.
Or I'll say it in another sentence. Anyone got a durry?
Is that like a cigarette?
Again, man, you're getting good. All right, this
That's
is
what I was gonna say the first sentence too, and I was like, hold on. Then you said another. I was like, okay, that's it.
All right, this is another one, and this is the last one. Oh no, my dad's outside and he's in his speedo. Speedo.
Is that like underwear?
It's like a swimsuit.
It's a swimsuit, but it's like a trunk. Yeah.
Yeah. And it leaves nothing to the imagination. That's why they call it a budgie. It looks like you're smuggling a budgie. But Lance, look, that's been the Aussie slang game. I just want to thank our audience for tuning in. Also, another special mention to our sponsors, Mayan Belts, A-Rock Designs, and Signal Studios for supporting this show and making it possible. Lance, thank you so much for coming on, man. I've had a great time talking to you. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I know.
I for sure did.
We've definitely kept some very solid live numbers throughout the show, and I can definitely see everyone's been enjoying it. So, Lance, thank you very much for coming on. And once everything starts opening up, we'd love to get you back on to promote WXWC4. And anything you'd like us to promote, where can people find you?
Man, you can find me on all my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Lance Anoa'i. Like I said, last name is Anoai. A lot of people have a problem spelling it, but man, also, man, through the hard times and wrestling, there hasn't been wrestling, and I pay a lot of bills with wrestling, and I opened up a pro wrestling tees. If you just show some support, buy a t-shirt, man, that would be awesome, man. I appreciate you having me on this show, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. Thank you very much, guys. I'll catch you next episode, which is coming up on Saturday, 9 p.m. USA Eastern, which is 11 p.m. Sunday, where I'm going to be sitting down with Garrett Bischoff. Lance, thanks again for coming. And guys, we'll catch you next time. Bye now.
Thank you.